It doesn't work. The regular meeting of the LAFCo Commission of Butte County. We're meeting on Thursday, March 7th at 9 a.m. Right? Let's pledge. Well, there's no controversy. We don't need to pledge the flag. We do that, calm the public down. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Boland,
I'm here, I think.
Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Kimmelshoe, Chair Connolly,
Here.
Commissioner McGreehan,
Here.
Commissioner Duncan, Commissioner Betts,
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Rust, Alternate Commissioner Bradley, Alternate Commissioner Ritter, Alternate Commissioner Shepherd. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone want to correct the minutes of February 1, 2024?
3.1. Maybe we should change that to Commissioner. That's all I had.
Wow, you should teach English. Any other?
I do have a question on the minutes. I think I was late coming into the meeting and the minutes don't reflect the arrival of my presence. I don't know if that's necessary in the minutes or not, but was that what happened? Okay. Because it shows no voting on some things, I believe. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of another set of minutes. I apologize. Too many boards.
Okay, any other changes? I move approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Notice public hearing, it's the Biggs West Gridley Water District, City of Gridley Detachment. Number 1.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, commissioners. This is a proposal to detach 156 parcels from the Biggs West Gridley Water District. This is a result of an effort the district is making to clean up their jurisdictional boundary to remove parcels from their district that cannot, are not, and will not be served by the district because of their existing land uses or because they don't have access to district facilities. So we're asking today that you would approve a resolution to detach these parcels and then follow up with that with a resolution to amend the sphere of influence for the district to take out this territory from their sphere. That's consistent with past actions that we've done that result in a coterminous district boundary with sphere of influence boundary for the Biggs West Gridley Water District. This territory is generally located in Southwest Butte County. The parcels are within the city of Gridley, so they will continue to receive domestic water either from the city of Gridley or by private well. So ultimately, this action today would really not affect any of the landowners that are being removed from the district, aside from the fact that they will no longer pay a standby fee that the district collects on all of their parcels. So it would ultimately benefit them. So like I said, there are 2 resolutions that you'll adopt in order today, each finding that the project is exempt from environmental review. And if you have any questions, I'm available as well as the district manager. Danny Robinson's here.
Questions or comments? Public comment on this matter? Close public comment. I'll entertain a motion.
Can we do both at once?
Should be 2, right?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to move to. And the also resolution.
Let's first take the motion and a second on resolution 01. And then we'll follow up with a second on the next one.
I'll second.
Okay, so we're doing the first one. Any more comment? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. That's unanimous. Now we'll do the second one.
So then I also move that we approve and adopt resolution 032023/24.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Good job. I like the way you sat there. It was really appropriate. That's good job. Oh, executive officers report. Unless there's no public comment, you guys don't want to get up. Got anything you want to say, Bo? No, it's executive officers report.
All right, now I'm squared away. Thank you. Good morning. Just a few items this morning on this report to bring to your attention. Just want to let you know that the Budget Committee has been scheduled and is scheduled to meet on March 18th next week. Sorry, March 19th to review the preliminary budget that will go out at the end of next week. Staff will begin the recruitment also for a public member, alternate public member, as both those terms expire in May of this year. I've contacted both Commissioner Betts and alternate Rust about the appointment, and they both confirmed that they would like to re-up their terms. So we will be going out to publish this, as we always do, just for transparency purposes, for recruitment, and then people will submit an application. I will then vet those applications to make sure they're compliant, and if they are, then they come to the full commission for you to vote on who you would like to be the public and alternate public member at that time. So we're just going to get that process started here probably in the next couple of weeks, and it'll come out in the newspaper, and also be our affected agencies will be notified. Moving on to a general notes, Gridley area water districts. What is new here is we've been talking about this now for several months in the EO report about our working with the water districts in the city of Gridley to move forward with some issues that they have been experiencing. And so I just want to let you know that we have been doing that consistently. And we've worked with those district managers, and we developed a letter of agreement. And Shannon has shared that with them, and we're working through that process. Ultimately, the letter of agreement would be between all of the affected water agencies in the city of Gridley and LAFCo. That just really outlines the process for how they should look at projects that may have impacts to the infrastructure of those districts. So it doesn't give them necessarily any more power. It doesn't really change who decides what. It just gives these districts an opportunity to kind of reset the bar, if you will, and now they'll get early consultation in the process. And with the letter agreement, it kind of puts everybody on notice who's doing what and spells out that process. So I don't know if Shannon, if you have anything you want to add to that, but we've done this before. Some of you might remember we've executed letter agreements with the County of Butte and all the Oroville agencies to deal with CEQA at the time because the county was not notifying them. So anywhere where we see an issue where our districts are not being properly evaluating their services or infrastructure, we try to get involved to connect those dots. And it's not just that. We help the county and the cities out just as well if need be. It's just usually it's the districts tend to be on the outside looking in. So we do our best to try to keep them apprised of what's going on. So we're really happy about this outcome and moving forward. Part of that process was we also met with the new city administrator for the city of Gridley, which was a really good meeting. We all met in a room for an hour or two, and it was a really good conversation. And we're pleased that she really took seriously everything that was said. And we believe that this is a good path moving forward. So we thank the city council for selecting somebody who is easy to work with. City of Biggs, we've been talking somewhat about their growth issues and their annexation and their phased annexation plan. I've given the city plenty of praise on how they've been moving forward with that process. And now they're at yet another milestone where they're looking at a commercial use along B Street. We're working with them right now to try to come up with the best annexation proposal that they can put forward to bring that along. And this is obviously something that for those of you who've been around long and since like 2015, when we first looked at Biggs and they were kind of teetering on the edge at that point in terms of finances, we gave them a sphere that took them out to Highway 99 so that they could start to facilitate commercial growth and sales tax generation. And so this is just really part of that same plan that all started all the way back in 2015. But Biggs has really stepped up. They're doing, by my account, all the right things. They work with us on a consistent basis. So just letting you know, you'll probably see something from them in the near future for an approval of an annexation moving out towards the highway to the east. I will jump ahead to a couple Cal LAFCo things. Actually, I want to backtrack one. The CSA reorganization, just a really quick update. We just got a notice from Public Works staff yesterday requesting to meet again to start to continue to work through the CSA reorganization process. I will say that this particular group of folks over at the county that are taking on this have been very open with us, and they've reached out to us to work with them. So we really appreciate that. And I think it'll get solved moving forward. They're putting the attention into it now that it deserves. Now switching over to Cal LAFCo, just FYI, your staff, and it's just a staff workshop coming up in Pleasanton on April 24th through the 26th. So your 3 staff will be attending that workshop. It's usually it's a workshop versus the conference. Conference is where the commissioners get to come, and really it's geared towards commissioners and electeds. And this is the workshop, which is geared towards staff. So it's a much more useful hands-on type of conference for us. And on that note, give some props to our Deputy Executive Officer, Ms. Costa. She serves on the program committee. This will be the 2nd program committee now. I have encouraged her, as you have encouraged me over the years, to participate in Cal LAFCo to the fullest extent possible, and she's doing so. And she has 2 sessions scheduled for that meeting. So I'm happy about that. The good news moving forward for legislation, you might recall that Mr. Brown can speak to this if he wishes, but we have indemnification policy that we actually have in our LAFCo, but in the law, there's language that's weak on whether or not LAFCOs can actually seek indemnification. And it took a long way to get through this process. It came out of a case in San Luis Obispo. I won't go through all the gory details, but the good news is we needed a small code change to affect our ability to actually have indemnification policies where we can ask for that up front. We've come around it here with a voluntary program that worked and we believe works, but this is the permanent fix. And we finally got a legislator to carry that bill. I don't know if Scott wants anything in, but it's really critical to our ability to reimburse the commission and indemnify the commission should a project go awry somehow. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but.
Well, it's just that planning departments right to seek indemnification. We're simply seeking to be put at the same level and have the right and power to require indemnification from applicants in the event that LAFCO is sued. So we don't view it as particularly startling, but it's always difficult to get things through the legislature.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to Government Code 56133, extension of services. I know we have had these discussions for decades here and at Cal LAFCO. The rub on this is there are exemptions to extending services outside your boundary. Otherwise, LAFCO has to approve them, but certain exemptions exist. 2 agencies, 2 public agencies working between each other who have the same service that they want to extend can be exempt. There's certain exemptions for water and irrigation districts and so forth. But what we are concerned about, and Cal LAFCO has been concerned about for years, is that's a self-exemption, essentially, the way it's written right now. It doesn't come back to LAFCO. So it essentially allows an agency to just decide, we don't think LAFCO should be involved, so we're going to declare that we are exempt under this law. And as it stands right now, we would be forced to actually go to court in order to enforce if we believe that was the case. But the language in the law is somewhat ambiguous as to what our role is when it comes to exemptions. And we've been trying for years to change it. And it's just been a really hard thing to do. Special Districts Association and a few other associations on the Hill, they are opposed to this. They see it as authority that we do not currently have and are asking for. We saw it as something that was amiss in the legislation. It clearly gives LAFCO the ability to approve service extensions, but it doesn't clearly say that LAFCOs are the ones who decide whether the exemptions apply. here in our county, we've been, very forceful. This commission has been in terms of promoting our role in that, and we've had compliance with all of our agencies for the most part. That's not the case everywhere in the state. This bill is kind of falling apart, to be honest with you. We just can't get consensus amongst all of our sister agencies out there to move forward, and we won't be able to find a legislator to carry it because of that. We're probably going to have to look at altering that language in some way to provide, rather than demanding that they come here to have that exemption authorized, we might fall back to a secondary position, which is at least notify us, be required to notify us when you do those service extensions. Because what had happened years ago, and the reason this all became a big issue is going back 30, 40 years, folks were just extending services. They weren't telling LAFCo, and then the maps were all out of whack. There was things happening outside of district boundaries. That's not so much the case anymore that as it was 30, 40 years ago, but still we have bad actors who do bad things. Anywhere there's flexibility or weakness in the law, they'll take advantage of it. And we're hoping to change that. But at the very least, if we are notified in advance that they are doing this, then we have an opportunity to involve ourselves and perhaps either encourage them to come to us and or take some other action. Yes, sir.
So just so I understand, I mean, I'm not an advocate of more government, but if something were to go wrong with those districts, we would get involved then.
Oh, absolutely.
So we can have something that we have a say, and we have the responsibility at the end of it if there's something goes wrong, but we have no say at the beginning of it. Is that what I'm understanding?
Well, a lawyer can construe the law in an abusive way. And a good example that Steve didn't bring up is the extension of water from Paradise to Chico. That's 2 water districts. And so a certain lawyer could give them the opinion that LAFCo doesn't need to be involved. Then after all this gets rolling along, absolutely LAFCo needs to be involved, because to do that, to placate many people that would be against that, LAFCO would be the entity to say that you can't cause growth off of this extension. I'm just making this as an example.
Right.
It did happen, kind of.
Yeah.
And so on a state level, we're trying to tell people this could happen to you, this interpretation of this law where any 2 districts could get together and do whatever they want. And then the mess would fall on LAFCO because it isn't investigated properly, induces growth and or causes a failure. It's backwards. The truth is our executive officer doesn't have the willpower or the want to do this because it is a heavy lift, and I'm a blunt guy.
He doesn't mean me, by the way. He means
No.
the executive director.
Cal LAFCO's executive officer doesn't want to take this on. It's a lot of work. And so when you're on a board of people, that's a huge influence. And so what Steve is wisely proposing, we've talked about it, is we'll try to change some of the language. At least we're notified in some kind of compromise at this time, but I believe it needs to be changed. I think Mr. Brown believes it needs to be changed. He's probably seen abuse in another area. And it's just like cart before the horse. That was a
doesn't
good
make sense.
example. Say it was the sewer. Say you had a sewer district in Paradise and you want to run a sewer up to Magalia, and they had a district and you're going to interconnect. Well, LAFCO wouldn't be involved because you could exempt yourself. You both have a district. And then look at the mess it could create if it isn't done properly. And that's what LAFCO exists for.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Those good examples?
Those are great examples. To just sum that up is what LAFCO's process is really, it's comprehensive planning. We look at the general plans, the zoning, we look at the infrastructure plans, we look at capital improvement plans, we look at your boundaries, we look at your sphere, we look at your demographics. We look at all these things because we want to make sure that nobody is harmed in the process of something growing or expanding. So to just go out of that entire mix of comprehensive planning and just say, we're going to run a line over here just for this one purpose, and we're not going to have anybody involved. That's really what it comes down to. And you don't then have integrated planning. And then as Mr. Conley points out, and you did so, Mr. Bowen, things start to fall apart. Things don't get countered or considered.
And then we have to get involved.
And we have to get involved. And then we have stuff where now we have services outside of a boundary, and now we have to looking at changing the boundary in order to accommodate what they have done. It's just messy. It's messy all around. And we would just prefer it not happen. But it's getting it through the legislature is really difficult, really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Fallback position that you've indicated, you're trying to get Cal LAFCo to make that the language for a bill.
Yes,
And you need, secondly, you need to find a member of the legislature
correct.
to introduce it. But we're at a point in time now where all the bills, the cutoff dates come and gone.
Yeah, we're done for
So
this
we're
year.
done for this.
Excellent.
It'll be
this
next
session.
cycle,
So
yeah.
we got another year and a half to go. I like the idea, at least a fallback position.
Well, at least it, we can, all of our arguments are the same for the fallback position is if you notify us, at least then we can tell you what we think about the idea and what other impacts it might have. And hopefully we can change the course of how that develops. But, and it's not happening here, mind you. I'm not aware that any of our districts are doing this absent our info, but there are literally places in California where this is happening and they're not talking to their LAFCOs and they're discovering it when they do an MSR later down the road. And they say, oh yeah, by the way, we've been providing water or sewer service to that subdivision out in the county for the last 3 years. No one knew about it other than the city and that particular subdivider. So that's
Well,
what we're
it's
really
not
trying to-
happening now, but as soon as, people talk and things
Yeah.
happen and then all of a sudden we're in the same boat. So
So what we probably ought to do is agendize giving you latitude to write a letter of support if, say, San Diego takes it on themselves or any other county wants to take it on themselves, not, which I've heard might happen, so that we could at least support the position locally, even if
It's a good idea.
our state organization does not fully support it.
I'd be thrilled to bring that back in front of you at such time that becomes ripe.
All right.
Thank you. That's all I have on the legislative front. And I don't have anything else to add. So unless you have questions for me, that's all.
On the application activity chart or table, just a curiosity, I realize it's been quite a while on the MSR for the city of Oroville, but we understand the lack of logistics on that extended the time periods. So that's forthcoming, I suppose. Do you have a draft yet that you're?
I am going to let
reviewing?
Jenna answer this questions because she's been working on it feverishly the last few months.
Yes, we are finally in the home stretch. We've
Good.
got some feedback from the city to update, get the most accurate information we can. It's now in our hands and we are going to, I want to give it longer than a 21-day public review. So it'll probably get released to the public at the beginning of April and you'll hear it at our May meeting.
May, okay.
Yeah.
And then secondly, over a year now, the city of Gridley filed an application for MSR. So we're beyond a year now. Where are we with that? It's not deemed
You wanna handle
complete? It hasn't been even deemed complete for processing or what?
Every now and then we remind them that they have a active application for a MSR. And I think they're just sort of lacking the direction over there to get it going. They're working with a consultant and no one's given the consultant the green light to pursue the information gathering. So now that they have a new city administrator, they can prioritize that project. I think it's a good idea that they do that. And so we can follow up with them and make sure. I don't even know that she's aware that no, she is. She's aware that there's a active MSR, but the consultant has not begun the work at all as far as we know. So.
Okay, thank you.
If I might, you just caused me to think as I'm looking through the list and just to give you an update. So Tuscan Water District, thought you'd never hear it again, but we will. Just so you know, it's filed, it's recorded. They have held their first meeting. They have a website, TuscanWaterDistrict.org that's up and functioning. And they will be holding their second meeting March 21st, I think is the second meeting. They're building their organization. So the first meeting, just to give you an idea, was they got very extensive Brown Act training from from an attorney, which is at my advice to just, get out of the bag, right off the bat, just be transparent, make sure you understand what that Brown Act's about. Because as you remember, a lot of the grief that we took over them was they're all private and it's not going to be transparent. Well, it's very transparent, as just as we expected it would be. I just wanted to let you know that, so they're up and running and they're going to have their second meeting. I've offered to come and outline a variety of things. I'm not sure how quickly they'll want to get to that, but there's things that they are going to have to accomplish over this coming year that we conditioned that approval on. That's going to take a lot of work. So I'll keep you apprised as that comes up, and you're going to see an application or two coming from them probably pretty quickly in terms of we got to establish an MSR and an initial sphere for them. There's of course the revenue measure that they have to do. They have to come up with an MOU with the Vina and Wyandotte and Butte Basin Water District or GSAs. I'm sure I'm forgetting something else, but there's a variety of things they have to accomplish within that first year. So they're going to be very busy getting that done. I just wanted to give you an update because that all this literally is just unfolded. That's all I have.
It's huge.
I have a comment. It's kind of a public comment. I've already heard that the proponents for Valley Edge may approach the county for trying to build out through the county, which I fully will not support. Not because the voters voted the way, but because they killed the habitat conservation plan. The same people that killed it went down in flames because they did. So there you go. Just letting you know, they'll probably approach the county and try to build it that way. And they're not going to change my mind.
So that's while this is not on the agenda for discussion, but since you brought it up, that's just a comment.
It's a comment.
Just to offer my response to that is the opportunity does exist, obviously, for anybody who owns unincorporated land to go to the county, and that's going to be the county's decision. But I just want
But
to
I
let
can't
you
see
know
it
that
flying muster here.
all of our LAFCo policies, so you might get questions about this at some point or might just be curious, but everything in LAFCO law speaks against us allowing the county to move forward with that proposal. End of the day, it's going to have to be sewered, and the city is the sewer provider. So this is one of those situations where it's a tough nut to crack for that developer. Surely this was a huge setback, but as far as planning goes, it's still in the county city sphere. We still expect that that land is designed to be developed within the city. It stays in the city's sphere of influence, stays in their general plan planning area. So nothing has really changed on the ground other than this project failing as it's in the vote. But the process moving forward for any other planning issue is going to be the same as it was before, and we will actively participate in commenting on it. And if need be, I will involve the commission directly in looking at anything that comes on that property.
Did they have to get the community vote to make this happen? Is that a
They
mess?
passed it through a city council action. They did everything correct, if you will, had all the public hearings. There was a referendum that was circulated.
Okay,
They collected enough signatures, somewhere in the 5,800 signatures.
then I put it on the ballot.
And that got it on the ballot,
Okay.
and then it was
Okay.
just straight up or down.
Okay, thank you.
So that's all I have.
Play chess, not checkers. Habitat conservation plan would have helped them.
Well, that-
Told you so.
those,
Anything else? Meeting over?
Here,
See you next month.
thank you.
all right.